Oh
Hey,
my God, it's you too. How are you, man?
I'm
I'm
fine.
so sorry about
You
life of a
forgot?
mom, man. I got wrapped up with my kids, and then before
Ah,
I know it, I was like, oh my, I'm so incredibly sorry.
hey, never, right?
Huh?
Better late than never.
Ah, man, and I'm so embarrassed about this. I really apologize.
But you're here. It's fine. It's fine. I really thought maybe you're busy with your kids or whatsoever. Maybe something's coming up. I don't know.
I'm so sorry, but we're here, and I'm
Here.
fully with you.
Yes. Mestra, how are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you
Nice.
very well.
So let me adjust the camera a little bit. So, hey
Are we
guys.
live already? We
So
are.
we are here. So, so how was the batizado with the Mestra Minha and the kids?
I think that's part of the reason why I'm so like this. We have we I had my own like semi-annual event that I've done, and then on top of that, Mr. Main had an event, so we went to help him. And on top of that, we're working on a really cool play. They're
Yeah,
they're rehearsing a lot that is all about Zumbi and
yeah.
Palmares
How's the play, right?
and the story. Yeah, and they've been working on that for like the script for I think at this point 10 years, and
Wow.
I'm doing some of the music for that. Yeah. So yesterday we had a rehearsal till 11 something at night after the event.
Ah,
So
so you can.
yeah, it's just been, yeah, really like uh really busy, but good busy.
Yeah,
I, I,
yeah,
I wish for yeah, that we always be busy with stuff like that.
yeah. Stuff we love, right?
Yes, exactly, with stuff that we love.
Nice. So, thank you for.
How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just started a new project and asking all couples that I know, but also people that I don't know, to have a capoeira chat with me, to listen to the stories, to learn from the stories, and just have a chat, and to hopefully learn from your perspectives, and because I'm now in a different phase of my life, also in capoeira, seek for more knowledge, and I constantly want to learn, and I love to listen to stories, and I want to connect with people, even though I don't know the people. I want to connect with them, and let's see what's how their upbringing is in capoeira. So and it, I get so much energy out of this, because
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's really nice. Every time after a chat, I feel so uplifting, and I always listen back to take out some wise words, and it's like, yeah, I
Mm.
really love it. So it's also a reason that I want to ask you, and yeah, to get to know you a little bit, So
Yeah,
that's
no,
what.
I always love these opportunities to talk about this thing that is such a huge part of my life. And yeah, it's kind of cool. I think there's a lot of criticism that could go into social media, but there's something really, I think the one really cool thing about it is that we can do stuff like this.
Yeah,
You're so far away, we could get to know each other, and we don't, especially, I say that to I heard that a friend of mine that said that, and I really agree. I think, students come and go, but teachers, we see each other a lot because we've been in this for a while, and usually, it's such a big part of our lives. So we'll see each for a while. So obviously it's important that we develop relationships where we could add to each other's experience and add yeah just add to add force and energy to what we're doing, you know,
I totally
to what
agree with that. We as teachers have to stick to each other, to help each other out, because we see so many companies come and go in our classes. So sometimes you put so much energy in one person, and then like 2 years later, it's just all right. I'm going, and poof, they're gone. Like, oh
yeah.
man, start all over again. That's kind of a curse. But
But you know, it doesn't mean that it was wasted. You know,
no,
I
not
think like sometimes, yeah, I think we're like a bus. You know, some people just get off on an earlier stop,
yeah.
and
That's
it doesn't mean that you know, it doesn't mean that the journey that they had was has been taken into like not a very good spot or has been a waste. You know.
true. That's a good metaphor. I never thought about it. Just like we like a bus. Nice, nice one. Do you see? That's the reason that I'm doing this. I
I
love it. I
know
love
from
it.
we get inspiration right from each other.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
turn on the light.
yeah. Right. So basically,
All
again,
right.
thank you for doing this. And you're the first female capoeirista, female guest, basically. And normally I'm like,
Oh
okay,
wow,
so
one
yeah,
of many, right?
no, so you're the first one. So
I'm saying
all the
one of many to come.
uh, you can hear me. You can hear me clear, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So basically, I want to hear a little bit of your story. How did you get in contact with capoeira, and what's in the name Minha Velha? So let's go.
All right. I started capoeira in Israel when it just came into the country.
Hmm.
Mm, My teacher was the guy that brought it over to Israel. His name is Daniel Sela, Mestre Sapo.
Hmm.
And I first saw it in this movie.
All in strong.
Um, yeah, I saw only the story. In Israel back then, it was like the mid 90s. You know, it wasn't, it was, it was not very developed. So we had, what you call it? It was like bootleg
Oh,
cable, like running literally cable in somebody's apartment.
yeah.
And they, you know, you would never see the beginning of the movie or sometimes even the end. So I saw the movie, but I never saw the beginning. I just
Okay.
saw that it's
Okay.
about this thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this would be cool to do. A friend of mine was like, you know, they're offering it in this dance studio. So if you want, you should, yeah, come over and take a class. I
Hmm.
started taking classes and um, yeah, the rest was history. I finished my military service in Israel. I was already into music. Somebody gave me during my service a cassette of samba. I was like, man, I just need to go to Brazil. I wonder now what was in that cassette. Probably the most generic samba ever, but whichever. Uh, yeah, I ended up, a lot of people travel after their service. I traveled to LA. Um, I thought I was gonna, yeah, I traveled to LA. I had two phone numbers. One, actually, I had number for Mr. Marcelo
Oh, oh,
in the Bay.
yeah.
I was
Okay.
like, listen, yeah, people in Israel gave me your number, and I really want to continue training here. I want to go to Brazil, but until I came to the States to make a lot of money because that was the what were they were selling. When
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
come to the States and make a lot of money. I came here and I didn't make any money, but
Your audio's gone. I can't hear you. Yeah, yes.
uh, he gave me two numbers. He gave me a number for Capoeira Brazil,
Hmm.
Mestre Boneco,
Hmm.
that was teaching back then at UCLA, and he gave me the Academy of Mestre Main.
Cool.
And Mestre Boneco didn't answer.
Oh,
So I called, I called Batuki. I came for class, and actually, when I came here, I had a really rough time. I was an immigrant, and my English was a little shaky. It was just really rough. So
yeah.
capoeira was just an escape. It was really an
Hmm.
escape. So yeah, it just ended up kind of becoming my life. Yeah, just ended up happening like that. But
Nice.
did I answer the question? I think so, right?
Yeah, that's the first question. Now, and what's about your name, Mia Velha?
Minha Velha. Yeah, it was a joke, but then it kind of like really hit in the nose. Like Minha Velha in Portuguese, it literally means my old lady, but in
Yeah.
Portuguese it doesn't mean like my ball and chain. It doesn't mean my wife. It more means my mom.
Mm.
And my real name, Maman at the end means like mom in French, and that energy kind of comes up a lot. My birthday is close to Mother's Day. It's just,
Uh,
yeah, and then uh, but it started as a joke. We went to on a show with Mr. Main, and the car was kind of close, but not super close.
mm.
And he was like, "Okay, let's." I just was sitting there with all this stuff. And he's like, "Why aren't you taking it to the car?" I was like, "Aren't you going to bring the car over here?" And he was saying, "Buy me a video." Like, kind of like,
Yeah.
stop being like an old lady. And
Yeah.
it just, and it works. I speak in a lot of like metaphors. I tell stories.
Yeah.
I don't drink so much. I don't like loud, like I drum, funny enough, but I don't like clubs too much. I'm here. I'm sitting here with some beads playing. It's that energy is the
Yeah.
energy of
So it does fit you. It fits
uh,
you. A lot of a lot of names come from jokes, right? And some
yeah,
sticks and some are like, okay, yeah, I just want to change my name. But I think it's a nice story. Just pick it out for joke. It's like, oh, bother me a bit. Let's just stick with it, and it's nice. It's nice.
yeah. I think when they're successful, they're a very light kind of
Yeah,
joke.
yeah.
A lot of schools, from my experience, Angola schools refuse to do the whole names
Mhm.
because a lot of times they kind of connected with it's something that is usually derogatory, and it's usually derogatory towards some kind of like African
Mhm.
descent kind of feature, something about
Yeah,
messed up hair, big lips, or
exactly.
like so they're like, yeah, so they're like, we're not gonna do, and there's some terrible names
Oh,
for people that we love and respect,
yeah,
but there's some really bad names. So it's hard because on one hand there's that element, and then on the other hand, giving somebody a name um, is something that is really anchored in the religious uh, aspect, like the tradition, like Yoruba tradition.
yeah,
Kids usually are not born named. They're kind of like the name means something, and you're supposed to be really proud of your name and say it in a full sentence. And a lot of times, Yoruba names literally means one of the twin, the one that came, like it has an actual meaning, and there's a ceremony that people do divination on to get somebody's name. So and especially when you come to the history of capoeira, right? Like, to what extent a lot of the names that was given to slaves were names of churches they used to kind of force to be baptized in, you
Yeah.
know. So then, or names of slave owners, last
Yeah.
names. So
I
to what extent that name is more valid than a name I'm going to give you. However, it's a play, right? Because we can't take one name that doesn't mean anything and then give another name that is like something that attacks
true.
your, for lack of a better word, your ancestry, right? Like, you know, you talking about your nose being big or about your whatever. It's like, this is your grandfather's nose. This is like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and you carrying him or her, like your grandmother, you're carrying them with you in your features and how your expressions. So I think names are interesting like that. Uh, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also really important for if you're a teacher and you have students and you want to give a name, that you're more cognizant about what a name is, you know, and how to give a name, and to do some research and not just give a name just because, or it sounds cool, but always
Yeah.
dig dig in, you know. I tell my students, because I have students as well, they teach also kids, and sometimes they ask me about some names. We do some naming, some name check, so to speak. And I always tell them, okay, do some research in kind of names, because some names, you know, words have double meaning, triple meaning. And sometimes you have to be careful. And I learned my mistake well, and I'm still learning. And
Yeah. We
yeah,
all.
we are. But it's a good thing to, you know, to search for it, to do some research. I think it's really important, because a lot of people don't do that, and they just, you know, they look at you and you have some special features and just gonna name you like that. It's like, it's too easy. Come on, man,
Yeah.
you're lazy.
The low hanging. I think that, yeah, I think, yeah, you have to an extent, let it come to you, right? Which is,
Yeah,
if there was a catchphrase to this art form, is like, let it come to you,
is
right? Yeah, it's timing and let it kind of like see what comes up. But
yes,
yeah, we learning. I think it's very important for us to kind of like be super honest about the stuff that we just don't know. You know, we are not Brazilian. We don't speak the language to uh, that extent, and that's something we're constantly working on. But it doesn't
yeah,
mean, you know, we need help. And sometimes, yeah, I think that's why it's really cool to have some kind of elder or have some kind of connection to somebody that could help you out,
hmm,
or has those connections that they give you some
yeah,
guidance.
yeah. Even for me, so if I'm, you know, hesitant about a name or words, you know, that I don't know what the true meaning of it, I will ask my mastery, you know, and or other friend of mine, and they're gonna explain it. So, oh, you can. Well, in Brazil we say this, but it's better not to give it as a name form. Maybe you can give it like in other form, you know, those kind of little things.
Yeah.
You know, it's helpful. It's helpful because because in the past I did give a name to a kid, and later on I was like, oh, then it's it's uh, yeah, it was not. I didn't do my research, but
Well,
hey,
you know. Now
now I know.
you know.
You know, now I know. So
Yeah, we we
how's your classes going?
they're going good. Yeah, they're going good. You know, summer the energy shifts a little bit,
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm always really moved to see the dedication uh, from students, and I I realize more and more how much I love working with the kids,
Yeah,
especially kids that are so into just such a gift, you
yeah.
know. So yeah,
I love.
it's exhausting. It's
Yeah.
definitely fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have kids on your own? One, two?
Oh yeah, I have two kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. Yeah,
Cool.
and they're
And
exhausting as well.
yeah, I know. Do they play capoeira as well?
Yeah, they're or they could just come to class and sit on the couch.
Yeah.
But it's actually been really cool that, in other words, there's not much choice because either way they're coming to class, so might
Yeah.
as well join in, and they like it. Like it.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I'm trying not to. It's not, I'm not forcing
No,
them.
no.
It's there, but yeah, they have to come because we here we don't necessarily the family we have is chosen family. It's in Capoeira, so
True.
um, yeah, I can. My husband teaches parkour and I teach capoeira, and they come to those classes, and it's actually been
Uh,
really nice, especially as we start building up from the pandemic, because it already
yeah.
puts like two kids in there. So even if you have one
Yeah.
kid, it's not so, yeah, it's a little easier.
And how's your relationship with your kids during the class? Are they, acting different at home than during the class because you're still their mom, but also the teacher. So how do you figure the things out?
Yeah, and it's definitely sometimes the switch doesn't happen that I can look at them the whole time, but their dad is there as well, so that makes it a little easier. Um, yeah, yesterday we did a show before the bachizado, and uh, uh, it was really funny because
Yeah.
they only see me at the studio where I'm doing a million things, but all of a sudden they got to see a show, and my son, and it comes to me, he's like, "Wow, that one you did good." And it wasn't in like, "Oh, good job." It's kind of
But
like
I was,
I wasn't
mm,
sure that you could do that. I was like, "Thanks." And then the next
thank
part comes, and I do that. And he's like, "Wow, you did this one really good too." I was like, thanks.
you.
Because
Yeah, kids, they're
I it always feels like this Clark Kent and Superman kind of
yeah.
thing. Like they only see me at my Clark Kent. I do the
Oh,
laundry, I make
yeah,
lasagna, I
yeah.
and then she goes to the gym. Why does she go to the gym all the time? And then like when they actually see me do it, it's like, oh, oh, okay, you
Uh,
could do that too. So
I have to go to the
it's
gym
funny.
because I pick all the laundry, man.
I know.
That's why.
That's why I have to go get laundry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice,
and my gym has
nice.
a laundromat right next to it, so it works out.
Oh, nice. There you have it.
Yeah.
Hey, I was also curious about your background in with the Orishas because you really delve into the Orishas, right? So how came
Yeah.
that to be?
Wow, that's a profound story. But I'll give the light version.
Yeah,
Um, I I just always really loved music, and then once I got involved in capoeira, I really enjoyed the music there. And when I got involved with Matuki, Mestra Minha is an Ogan. He's an initiated drummer for Candomblé. And he he just was. This is the kind of music that we used to do a little bit at shows, and you know, I'm very fortunate. Like me, muito tempo. We were like almost like, and then a few like Mestre Girafa, Mestre Versátil. But especially me and Muito, we were like one of the very, we had almost like an apprenticeship with him. Like we had a lot of quote unquote dead time between shows. We would just chill. And I'm like, oh, that's when we did the most learning, especially with music. So we got to like learn more. And then because Mr. Man was a drummer, he drew to him, like, I have another, he is a little bit of a bigger brother in Orisha stuff. Khalil Cummings is an incredible drummer. And I learned from him too. And he was back then training capoeira more. So seeing his work, and then I got involved with also West African, and then once I realized that once I was getting injured, because injury is just part of it all. It's like I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna be at the studio. I'm just gonna go to drum. Like I'm just gonna go around and drum.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy. There was a few things that I really enjoyed. Obviously, I really love the music, and then when you're young, you really search for attention. I feel like it's inevitable. I think we still are, but
Agree. Yes.
I really enjoyed, especially back then, being in places where I'm not expected to be, and drumming was definitely one of them. Like I always loved drumming, but all
Cool.
of a sudden, there was no people drumming like this, and then there was no women for sure.
Oh,
So I
no.
when you're 20, you have that uh, energy. You're like, okay, I'm gonna make my way through all these people, and I'm gonna drum. Now I don't know if it's a sad thing or a good thing, but I'm not. If you want me to be there, I'll be there. If you want me to drum, I'll drum. If you're gonna fight with me over, like, I'm not gonna. I think, once you have your own work, you're a little bit less trying to prove things. Um, but yeah, so I really love the music as I got more and more into. So that led to kind of me doing a bigger trip to Brazil, and really through UCLA, I was able to kind of like figure out the finances, get them to kind of let me do independent study over there. Really like wondering why is it there that the guiding question was like, why is it that drumming is the domain of men and dancing is the domain of women, and when it comes to this
Women.
like religion, and it was, yeah, that gave me a lot. And you get good at something, people start expecting you to know things, so you have to meet those expectations. So you learn more, you read more, and then they ask you for more stuff, and then you read more. So for me, I feel like I've been very fortunate at this point. I'm one of the few that hopefully that would change, but I'm one of the few that sings the songs and drums those rhythms here in the States, at least women wise. And I just really love it. Also, I come from Judaism, and in Judaism, role of women is very specific. In Candomblé also, role of women is very specific.
Yeah.
But I find
Yeah.
this is really fast, very refreshing, and I really loved in its core the respect that it has to nature and the attention that nature is getting, which I feel like right now in our climate is just critical. And that has been kind of like the flag that I've been carrying when I go
Yeah.
to events
Yeah.
and whatnot. I feel like it's really important if I am to represent the feminine. To me, the ultimate feminine is the planet, and I feel like that energy is in our art form a lot, and I feel like we need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
that's why. Yeah, I saw some posts of your and drumming and talking about those kind of things, and that was also one of the reasons I wanted to have a chat with you, because there's so less women out there to have that role, so to speak. They have to really fight their way to be seen by the community what their role is. And I think you do a beautiful job by just being yourself and do your
thank you.
stuff and let it out there. And I hope with this, also with this chat, that more female capoeiristas can see and start to know, okay, you know, if I want to take my place in the bateria, for example, I can play the berimbau. Let me grab the berimbau. I can play the atabaque. Let me play the atabaque. Those kind of stuff, because I've seen many times that women are allowed to to play a part in the bateria, man. It was like, whoa. It was so weird.
It's very hard because I know I was having that conversation with a friend of mine. You know, to what extent it's like, first of all, I would say as far as the fight, I think everybody
Yeah.
has a fight, you know, like an American person that goes up the ranks has a fight. A lot of times bigger guys have a fight because, you know, there's something goes on between men when they see a bigger guy that's kind of like something to conquer. Everybody has a fight. I think that so it's different, and that's ours. Nevertheless, I feel like it's a hard thing because responsibility is a spectrum. That's what I believe. You know, like it's not zeros and one. It's never completely my responsibility or completely your responsibility as a man. I don't think so. So yeah, to men's responsibility, like to think how much room and space I take when I in this event of capoeira, I think it's something that is very interesting to think about. And I think it's interesting to think about for anybody, even for women, for teachers, you know, even for me when I go to event, like I love singing and people know me for that. But okay, how do I, if that's the only thing, if everything is kind of revolving around me and I'm not taking that and like, okay, I'll build it to something and then here you go, random lady that I know you sing really well. How about you sing now? So everybody is already like this. And then it's like, the light is on you. Okay, now you go. And I think it's really, you know, that's what, to an extent, Mestra Minha did. Like he saw that there was like this girl that was really into music, and he's like, in his events where there were Mestre Accordion, Mestre Brown, it's like nobody. It's like, she's gonna sing now, you know. So he had all the stage and all the power, and he allowed me to have a moment. So like all these other teachers get to see me, and then it creates an expectation with them for me to get better, or to show me a song, or to give me the mic next time because they want to go play and they want the music to be a certain way. So I think like, I think there's definitely a responsibility that needs to happen with people that have power, that have privilege, right? And in capoeira, sometimes like, well, capoeira for the longest time has been the arena of the single men, and it's still like really dominated by men. So people that are with the most privilege should give thought to that. However, I feel like as women, we shouldn't lean on that. Like, I'm not saying that everybody has to go through our experience of like learning how to learn music. You know, I think sometimes we romanticize the past in the sense of like, my master yelled at me or ignored me all this time, and this is how I learned music. I never, okay, that was your experience and you became better for it. Great. There's a lot of people that ended up quitting because of it, or ended up feeling like traumatized by music. Is that cool? Like you don't see them talking, but that's in their process. Like I had people cry in my music class, not because I'm that good, because it was like they were afraid of like playing or something like that, you know. That should not be. Nobody comes to a birthday party, hears that they need to sing happy birthday and start bawling because they're afraid on how they're going to sound. Now granted, happy birthday does not transmit history, it's not connected necessarily. But you know what I'm saying? It's music that creates energy for an event. And then we put a lot of pressure on it, or we made it something that only these people do, or it's not like that. It's not like that. Even, you know, in my work where I go to like candomblé, or I talk to elders, and they I talked to another friend of mine. She's really involved in Umbanda, which is another kind of like expression of Orisha tradition. And she's like, yeah, I'll talk to some elders. And she's a fantastic singer. And they'll show me a sign. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to kind of invent the music for it because she can't hear where the key is, what is the melody. Because it's about feeling, it's about connecting with
yes,
something, you know. So I feel like, yeah, like we need to take the pressure off of that for sure. But as far as women's responsibility, I think it's also important to kind of like
mm-hmm.
practice the, you know, like, yeah, the past was funny with how much we had to struggle, but that's to the side. We also need to, so let's make the way for students, but we also as women need to kind of practice like taking
Yeah,
space, you know, like nobody's gonna hold your hand, like, or rather, don't wait for somebody to hold your hand
mm-hmm.
and take you over to sing. You know, there's a lot of energies that go on in capoeira and in a roda. People come from far away. Sometimes they paid money. Sometimes they didn't get to play the whole event. They want to go in. They want to show what they can do with singing. Or it's like nobody's gonna. It takes a lot of effort for you to turn off something that feels so good and comforting, especially like, you know, I don't know how you, but like my school is not like, definitely not as huge as some events
Mm-hmm.
that I go to, you know, because everybody comes. So for me as a teacher to be in a place everybody's answering back, it
Yeah,
feels really good. For me to take myself away from that, to hold your hand and bring you over to sing, that takes a
yeah,
lot. It, not even from as a sacrifice. It just concentrates. It just takes a lot. So for you as a woman that knows, and that's another part, you need to have skill. You can't just have confidence, you know. But if you worked on it, you know what you're doing, or you just want to experience singing. You're gonna pick your best three songs and you're gonna try to like do it. Figure out a way to work on that muscle of like making your way up there and be like, can I
yeah,
sing? Because there's other guys that do it all the time. But I think like, you know, a bunch of things go into it. I feel like I need to be perfect. I feel like to ask permission. I'm not Brazilian. I'm not black. I don't know. Is it okay? I'm not from this school. I'm not singing Angola. And that's an, you know, we have to put the ego to the side. If you sing something wrong, or if it's a bad thing, or if nobody knows the
yeah,
song, you work it
exactly.
out. Then,
Of the world.
you know,
Yeah, nice,
yeah.
nice. I totally agree. It's a nice perspective. It's a nice perspective because, like you said, you know, the music is all about the energy, the sound waves. We as capoeiristas, but not capoeiristas as well. Just we as human beings, we are fed by that. You know,
Yeah.
when you're sensitive about picking up energies, you really get touched by music. Man, to me, I told the story many times, but the first time when I met capoeira, well, I started with only the strong, and then I saw it later on in real life, and then I saw the beating bow, and I felt immediately in love with the beating bow. I never saw it. I never saw it before. You know, yes, I saw it in only the strong, but I never. I was like, okay, yeah, it's just kind of a bow, whatever. For the
Yeah.
first time, and I heard it, I was like, oh, I was in awe, and I said, Mom, I want to, I want to have that instrument. I want to have the instrument. And it wasn't even for capoeira, but I want to have that instrument. And that was the first instrument that I learned to play, of course. And
Mm.
but I learned to play the instrument, the beating bow. I did not like to sing, um, because yeah, I was young and I was more like, let's do some fancy movement. I was all about that and not about singing. I hated singing. And then my master or my teacher stopped the whole class, and I was the youngest of the class. And they said, you're gonna sing now for everyone's like shit. Then I learned my lesson, and now I'm like singing all the time, you know. And now I love singing, and now I'm just printing to my students, sing with music classes as well, you know, learn the instruments, learn from earlier stage on. Don't start with 5 years in capoeira, you're already too late for in my opinion. Just learn when you are, I don't know, just 3, 4 weeks in capoeira, grab the pandeiro, learn basic beats. If you have affiliation with the beating bow, grab the beating bow, try it out. Try it out.
Yeah,
I
I
went to
agree.
some capoeira events. They were like teachers. They couldn't play in beating bow. They couldn't play berimbau, and they had a teachers that was like, "How you're professor?" But because I wanted to give the berimbau, he was like, "No, I can play it." So, man, it's kind of
It's hard. It's hard. And then the longer you get, the more years you get, the more ego gets in there. And then, well, I don't want to do it in front of people because I'm not that good. But then if you're not gonna do it in front of people and you're gonna put yourself out there, then you're
yeah,
never gonna get better. It's hard, very
yeah.
hard.
It's a yeah the circle. You never come out.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's a shame, but I think it's met with everything, not only capoeira, but in life as well. You know, sometimes you don't want to do it
Yeah.
because you're so doubting yourself. Am I good enough? Like you said, I have my doubts as well. Uh, not right now, hope not right now, but back in the day. One, I'm not a Brazilian. I didn't speak Portuguese. Okay, am I doing it right? Okay, then I learned to speak Portuguese, etc. Then I went to events and okay, what I'm gonna contribute to these events. You know, what are people expecting of me? All this kind of your mind's playing tricks with you, and sometimes you
Yeah.
go into a shell, and then my master so come on, you're better than that. Just try it. Just let you know show them who you are, and my
Yes.
master still said to me, show them who you are. Come on, Spirit. You know who you are. Let's do it. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
that, uh, especially when you're a little bit lowering your energy. Like I said, your mind starts to spindle. You start ask, question yourself. But sometimes it's like, okay, f that. I'm just gonna do it. If I
Yeah.
fall, I fall. I just get up and try it again next time.
I, I heard that recently, and I totally agree. We shouldn't strive
Mm.
to be the best. We should really strive to be the best in
Yeah,
getting better. So, um, and the more like anything, the values that you get from being okay with having the world see you try is
yeah,
immense. And it's way more important than what's going on in the studio. It's important for us as human beings
yeah. I
outside.
totally agree. I totally agree. Because for me, it's much more important when we are training and I see a student try try really hard and work their ass off and eventually come to that point that they achieve their goal. Then a student that's like, no, yeah, whatever. Is I'm like, no, I'm more rooting for the other student that I see how much work that he or she putting in, and the end results like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the goal
Mm-hmm.
where you want to achieve. For me, that's more beautiful. That's the most beautiful thing that you see the development of a human being, whether it's sports
For sure.
or whatever, to involve. And I think a lot you can learn from everyone. I learn so much from my students. I always say to my students, I'm learning from you. Yes, I'm teaching the class right now, but I'm also learning. I'm also training. I'm not
Completely,
done
yeah.
training. No, yes, okay. Maybe I'm not training like back in the day, like regularly with the class, but when I play with you guys, I'm training because I have to stay sharp and fit as well. And I'm never gonna underestimate my students and I always tell them, when you play with me, try some stuff out. When they can catch me with a banda, rasteira, vingativa, I'm not getting mad. I'm applauding them. Say, yes, because my work works, my training works. you know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love.
I had a friend of mine that said, you have a good teacher when you see he has a lot of students that are
Mm,
better than him, you know? And I think definitely that's
Yeah.
what you want. You don't, it's like being a
Yes.
parent, you know? Your job being a parent is
Yeah.
to get out of a
Yes.
job. You want to raise a peer, a really cool adult that you would
Yeah.
hang out with, you know? And I think that's what we do in Capoeira. You would run a raise a student that would later on be a
Yeah.
colleague and would be like, wow, this guy is so
Yeah.
freaking cool, man. Like, what a great teacher, or what a great, like, rounded, like,
Yeah.
capoeirista.
Yeah. That's our job to make our student all around, and to be, yeah, to be just a normal human being in Capoeira as well, So
Mm.
that's a great one, to have a student that's going to be better than you eventually. So that's what we strive for, But it's also, I don't want to put too much pressure on it. You know,
Oh,
find a
yeah, yeah,
balance.
yeah.
Find a
No, for sure. This is, yeah, I've let go of that. You know, there's really a difference. I can't remember who we talked about with this, but there's really three kinds of people that come into your studio. There's a
Mhm.
client, there's a
Mhm.
tourist, and there's a
Yes.
disciple. You know? And it's all valid. All three of these
Yeah.
are valid. To go back to how we started, it's like they just get off at different
True.
stops on this bus. But it's all great, and I feel like the work, I think the challenge is to make the work meaningful for each of them. Because at the end of the day, uh, I really believe that we are not in the business necessarily of teaching capoeira, but I'm really on creating
Yeah.
transformation. Um, we never stayed in this art form for all this time because I finally could do a cartwheel, or I could, serious. Like, you can really see that with
Hmm.
injuries. I feel like you get to see, um, if this art form that you do is anchored in a goal, then the second that the goal is out of the table, you're just gonna stop. Oh, I'm gonna do capoeira so I could lose
Mm.
10 pounds. I'm gonna do capoeira so I could learn
Yeah. Yeah.
blank, a backflip, whatever, a macaco, turn kick, or whatever. I'm gonna do it so I could meet meet
Yeah.
new people, or meet somebody. These are
Yeah.
all valid,
Yeah.
and it's part of it. But the second that all of a sudden, oh, there's a pandemic, you can't meet new people. You're gonna
Mm.
stop. Then that's when
Yeah.
people stop. Oh, I can't. I'm injured. I can't go to the gym and work on
Oh,
acrobatics. I can't do. Oh, am I? And that's when it goes back to, like, the people that it's not anchored in a core, but in a
yeah.
value. In a value. I'm gonna do this because I need movement in my life. I'm gonna do this because this is my hard thing for the year. This is my hard thing. I'm I'm accomplished in my work. I'm doing great in my relationship, but I need something to humble me. I'm gonna
Mm.
do that. So once it's anchored in a core value, even if you stop, even a pandemic happens, even if an injury
Yeah.
happens, you come back to it because it's something that this is what we do in this family.
Yeah.
We are part of a community. In this family, we stay
Yeah.
active. In this family, we do music. We
Mhm.
learn about culture. We support a business of color. We
Mhm.
Whatever it is, whatever, it's connected with our heritage. It's connected with whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know how we got into
Just go with the wave, just like a game. Me a little bit here, a little there, just
that. Yeah,
just
yeah.
that's just organic. But nice, nice. I have a question though. How was for you to become a master? How was your formatura?
Uh, it was very so complex. that question. So complex. Yeah, I don't, it was
Yeah.
a great honor. It was. Uh, it was very much a
Oh, okay.
surprise. Yeah. Like my teacher, Mestra Minha Velha, let me know the summer before that he was gonna do it. Uh, we had ups and downs in our relationship, like every complicated and complex relationship. I think we're in a great place right now, but we definitely had our
Mhm.
ups and downs. And I think because of those ups and downs, like it took us a long time to connect for me to move to Conta Mestis.
Mm.
Um, when he moved me again, uh, yeah, was I was surprised. I was surprised, but it was really sweet, and I think it was really cool that he recognized my
Yeah.
work. And I think it's a little in this marathon that is uh, this life in this art form, being an artist. It's like a little one of those like little cups that they give you as you're
Yeah. Yeah.
running. Wow, that's really cool. It's really cool to have all these people come and acknowledge you and all that stuff. Yeah, as you get to those levels, I think you just realize you never become a master of this art form. I think you just become a master
Yeah.
student. You just become, you know, like if my master used to be my GPS, you could kind of like, that, oh, I know how to drive this, uh, not using the GPS
True.
all the time. Like from time to time, I always
Hmm.
go back to him, but I think he starts realizing, we went to Japan at the beginning of the month, and it was teaching a class, and it was really cool to have. I don't think you've ever seen me teach it in an
Cool.
event. And it was really a cool moment. I'm never. He has such a volume of work of what he's done with capoeira and for capoeira, but it was really cool to like get to a point where like, wow, we're here together, and uh, I'm next to you in this like group of teachers, and yeah, it's like that idea of like raising a peer,
Yeah.
raising a colleague, and him knowing that I'm not gonna do everything perfect, but I am open to learning and open to searching more, and I have I take it very. I don't take myself seriously. At least I would like to think, but I really do take my
Yeah.
work seriously because, um, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that could do what I do, different elements of what I do better than me, and they don't get the the stage, they don't get the funds, they don't get the opportunity. So the fact that I do care, I think it's really important for me to use that for something more than um, ego stroking, and even more than just teaching um, specific, like proper capoeira, like, oh, do your foot like this, do this, a sequence. I feel like, and I said this to him and to Mestre Quiz for this last event that we were together. I really feel like if I go to an event, and I spend 3 days with all these people, and the only thing I talk to you about is
Mm.
capoeira movements, then to me it's a huge missed opportunity.
You're
You
so right.
I feel like I say that often, but I'm a
Hmm.
mom, a woman of color, I'm a woman over 40. A lot of women over 40 in this place where I'm an immigrant. We just turn
True.
invisible. And here I am on a weekend with people like this, just looking, what do you have to say to me? And if the only thing that I could say to you is like, oh, oh, Dois, tres, to the right, to the left, do this, do that. It feels like there's so much
Than that.
more. We are, yeah, there's so much more to our art form that I think like we are not talking about. Like we're in such critical times. And the people who started this art form were in their own critical times. And they kept doing something, even though there was very little hope that things were going to change, yet they
Yeah.
maintained hope. They were vigilant about their hope, militant about it. They were soldiers of hope. And I feel like sometimes we forget to kind of talk about it and talk about, you know, we sing these songs and there's all these people that are in the past. This is the past. There are the reason why we're all here
Yeah.
together doing this. You know, if that's that saying of like, you know, we are our ancestors' wildest dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are their wildest dreams. You know, I say that often that, yeah, there was a time where, especially the people who started this or started the beads, the little buds of this, you know, if you would have said like, you know, capoeira is going to be like huge all over the world. People in Portugal are going to practice. Europeans, white people are going to practice it. And people would laugh. I'll do more than that. There was a time when somebody said, I'm gonna get people in the sky and they could travel, they could fly to the, like if you think about it, like, right? Or, you know, I think what you're doing to those people that are working in your fields for free, I think that's messed up. I think you should pay them. And people laughed. It was so ridiculous that they laughed. Yet somebody still listened to that. Somebody, or rather, didn't listen to those voices and listened to themselves, listened to that voice and kept fighting for it. What if they would have listened to all these voices of like, well, it's nothing we could do. Oh, big oil. Oh, politicians are corrupt. Well, it's capitalism. What can you do about that? These people didn't listen. They did it against all of that stuff. They did it for what? For you and me, you know. And I feel like this is what we shower ourselves every time we come into the event of capoeira. We surround ourselves with stories about this. It's our marinade. We are soaked in it. But sometimes we forget to talk about that. I think we need to kind of like
wake up. Yeah, wake up.
Wake up to this.
Yeah.
This is in you. You're benefiting.
Yes, because
from
people
it.
work literally their ass off so we can do this.
Yes. So I think like what are people 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now are going to say about us? What is the ancestor that we want to become? And I feel like for me, that's what I want to talk about when I get to events. Don't get me wrong. I think the simple act of capoeira is an act of defiance because we are in joy, we are in community. There's people there that are making 6 figures, no figures, people that are, generally it's a more progressive environment, but sometimes you have people that are really conservative, people that are gay or not. I'm Jewish, I'm Israeli. First time I talked to somebody Muslim was at the capoeira studio. I lived next to, my parents came from Muslim countries. The first time I talked to somebody Muslim was in the studio. The first time I talked to somebody transgender was at the studio. The first, and it's a bunch of firsts, a bunch of firsts. And I feel like there's a lot of, because we have, not sound like California, but it really is about this love that we have for
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
It unites us. You can't cancel somebody when you love the
No.
same thing. You have to kind of figure out a way to make
Hmm.
sense of them. And I think it's a very fertile ground to change. I don't say this lightly, to change the world. Because we can't change the whole world. But, you know, this is, I heard that recently. You attend the part of the garden that is yours. This is our garden, and this is how we can attend to it.
Deep. Nice. You're so right. You're so right. I I have the same because if I visit people at events, I'm not there just only to talk about capoeira. I want to talk
Mm.
about things in capoeira that we never talk about. We sing about them all the time, but what does it mean for us? What does it mean to us? You know, what we're gonna do with it? You know, what's happening now in the world?
Yeah.
What's how it reflects with capoeira? And like you said, if I come there just to do my basic stuff, okay, but I seek for more. I want to have more. Sometimes when I'm calling my mastery, we spend like an hour, 2 hours on the phone. Yes, we talk about capoeira, but we talk about this capoeira and so, about so many other stuff, you know. And sometimes capoeira way woven in, but
Is it
stuff,
cool? Yeah.
and that's how you connect as well. And he told me a story as well because he has a mastery and is a good friend of his. But every time when he's with that guy, he only can talk about capoeira, only capoeira. And he's like, man, sometimes I'm so sick of him. I don't want to talk about capoeira. You know, I just want to talk about how's his family, how are you doing? But it's only capoeira, 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 capoeira. It was like spiritual man. Sometimes just want to hang up the phone. That's funny, but yeah, it's like I know people are so passionate about, but I think it's also good to talk about the things that we don't talk about. You know, and I tried as well in my classes to deep to get more deep into the culture and history about capoeira, about talk about certain topics. Sometimes we do capoeira in the class, capoeira,
Ah,
so people can also ask me some questions, and it's up to me because I don't know everything, and I'm really honest about it. So something like you said, sometimes I have to read more, do some research, but also encourage them to do some research as well because now it's so easy access to have all those um, things that you want to look for. I think
mm,
in we come from a generation, it wasn't that easy. It's more like it's all about mouth to mouth. You have to ask your master, ask her, ask him about certain things. Now it's like, you know, get your phone, master Google, Professor YouTube. It's easy, you know. It's
ah.
easy nowadays. But I love to talk about capoeira, yes, but I love to talk about things that we don't talk about that often. And
Mm,
and I wanted to have more knowledge about the orishas as well. And
mm,
yeah, so now that's why I'm trying to figure out what they mean nowadays. You know, have any maybe recommendations, books or things I can look up for?
um, yeah, there's a few books. There's City of Women. That's a really fast read. It's a American lady, American or British? I think she's American, that ended up coming to a Candomblé house in the 30s, 1930s, I think, and had all her experiences. It's very interesting and it's really like
Mhm.
fast read. Um, there's a few other books. A lot of the really good ones are in
Yeah,
Portuguese. I could send you a list if
yeah.
you remind me. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of it is relationships. I know it's harder in our time right now because we get older and we have kids and families. But it really is like, yeah, Chirica, what's up? Um, yeah, she it's really hard to kind of cultivate those relationships, but it really comes down to making relationships with
Yeah.
people and just
Yeah.
showing up. And it's no magic bullet. It's just showing up and supporting and supporting and supporting until, it's like uh, younger drummers that come and say, "Oh, I really want to learn Orisha drumming." It's like, okay, come over, play the bell. It's not
No.
fascinating stuff. It's the same thing over and over. And if it's kind of like one of those things, it's like salt. When it's right,
Yes.
everything comes together. When it's wrong, you look at the
Yeah.
salt, like, ugh, it's too much salt, or something is off. Like you
Yeah.
immediately know
Yeah.
when salt is off. But when it's
No.
great, you don't feel it. You feel
Mm-hmm.
everything else that is good. Same thing. But it's yeah, and you play bell for 6 months.
But
Buy that bell. And then one time, one drummer has a show and he can't show up. And you're like, okay, can you play? All right, I'm ready. So when they give you the moment, you need
yeah.
to be
Yes.
ready. Um, but yeah, it's nobody's gonna be like, here you go ahead and play for this. Like, yeah, if you really want to learn, you have to. So I think it's also with these Orisha knowledge. This is people's lives. I know that it's interesting to us, but it's it's people's lives. It's part of the reason why I started going to Ile over here with Ifa was because um, I made a certain kind of like inventory, and I'm like, if I'm getting all this attention for doing this
Yeah.
music, I need to give back. So I was going over and playing music and supporting that Ile as it was starting, um, as much as I could, and I still go and do divination over there as part of maintaining that
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Because I feel like, yeah, when we're dealing with people's culture and religion, we have to be
Yeah.
very delicate because there's a history there of people coming in, taking,
Mm-hmm.
and leaving, you know? Um, yeah, so I, I feel like it requires patience, which is
Yeah.
very hard for me. I'm really surprised actually that I've been in capoeira as long as I've been and learn the stuff that I have. It really requires patience because I'm realizing I have less and less of it. It's very frustrating. I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of tolerance. I'll tolerate a lot of stuff. I'll tolerate. I'll tolerate a busted leg and I'll train on it. I'll tolerate not having sleep and keep
Yeah.
doing stuff. But I won't have the patience.
Uh,
Like, just do it tomorrow.
yeah. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just wait. Now it's not the time.
Yeah.
It's
Hard.
very hard for me.
Sometimes I struggle with that as well.
Yeah. It's really annoying when you see that in your kids and you're like, oh my God. I learned
these
it from
kids,
someone.
these kids again.
Yeah. It's in Yoruba they have such a beautiful image for it. They say that kids bring out lessons. If you imagine like a small gourd with a small opening, our clunky big hands cannot get the
Yeah.
lessons. But kids, it's just like slip in and just give
Yeah.
it to you. Oh, mom, why do you always yell? Why do you always impatient? If your husband will tell you that,
Exactly.
what did you say to me? That's your kid. You're like, let's talk about that later.
So relatable. So relatable. It's fun, right? Having kids.
Yes, it is a joy. It is definitely nothing is gonna make you work
Mm,
hard, or at least for me, nothing made me work as hard as I do as
yeah.
having kids, for sure. Um, yeah, I soon I have to go to keep helping take the kids over here to Mr. Main's last day of the event. But I wanted, we have like maybe 5 more minutes.
But
Is there anything else you wanted to say or ask
yeah, have
or
you maybe ever been criticized uh, while being well, playing capoeira in a roda?
Oh my God, have I? Yeah, of course. I think it's really important with criticism to really bring it down to if you have a
Mm-hmm.
relationship with the person who's giving you this
Mm-hmm.
criticism. I think it goes back to criticism that comes up
Yeah.
online as well. Like uh, what is that saying? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody has an opinion. Um, but I don't have a responsibility towards those opinions unless we have a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. You know, like me and my teacher, we have a relationship, and even now, I've realized I'm saying this with humility. I don't mean to come up as arrogant, but I'm an adult in capoeira. You know, I always would learn. I'm always a student, but I'm an adult. I know what is good. I know what's my challenges. I know what is always going to be my challenge. I've learned
No.
I'm not my teacher. I'm not, at some point he was like a 200-pound black
No.
man. I'm not. I have different strengths. I have different
Mm-hmm.
weaknesses. And then, at the beginning, and this is to all of us, anything that we would get, especially from our elders, was like this huge thing, and I'll crush you, and you take it home, and like, I think you have to kind of realize that first you have a relationship with that person, so should you even give it a moment
Mm-hmm.
of your time, and then you kind of look at it as like, is this something that is like serving me? You
Yeah. Can I
know,
learn?
I had moments with my even teacher. This was way before. It's also, and I say that with compassion. I was the first woman to graduate to those levels, in his school. Um, when has he ever had
Mm.
that? So all he was comparing it to is like
Yeah.
peers of mine
You.
that were like huge and playing very differently. And it's like, I'm not. And I used to take it home. And then I talked to another friend of mine. He's like, dude, you're not a huge black guy. Like, it's not fair to be comparing you. Like, you have other stuff. You've mastered other things. That's not. And I think, once you start realizing who you are in capoeira, what are, you know, what is the only thing that you could be? You not like this person, like that person. What would be the best version of you? Like the 150% proficient, healthiest, what is your
Mm-hmm.
vision for yourself? This is in general for life, but especially in this. What would it look like at the most badass version of you
True.
in this? What would it look like?
True.
You know? What would it look like in her 40s? What would it look like in her 50s? What would it look like in her 60s? What would be your contribution? What do you want to be? What do you want to be known for your contribution after, like, when people think about you? What would they think about? And people
Mm-hmm.
who care about you, yeah, it goes back to that relationship. And I think once you anchor it in that, then criticism starts getting a little bit more focused, you know. Um, and a little less
Yeah.
devastating. Again, I'm talking here big talk. Like, I have slips too, and it's hard for
Mm-hmm.
me when I make mistakes, but I think at the end of the day, I bring it back to that, and I bring it back to practice. We are creatures of practice. I say that to students over and over. I give the example of complaining. If you practice complaining, if you complain all the time, you're going to be a
Yeah.
master complainer. You're going to get the best language for it. You're going to come into a room and see exactly what's wrong. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
just see it. You're going to have the eyes for it. You're going to be great, convincing in your complaints. But if you're getting better, if you're practicing getting better at things you're not good at, tell me that's not going to make you a better human being. If you're practicing and taking criticism, not letting it like crush you, you know, taking what you need from it and leaving the rest, editing what you're getting from other people, not letting it consume you, and now you're writing everything back. And I was like, no, until like, not worth my time. You're getting better at it every time in conserving your energy to give it to people who deserve it.
Makes sense.
So I feel like with criticism, as it comes to you, to bring it back to relationship and bring it back to what are you practicing when you're acting a certain way with it, when you're interacting with that criticism.
Nice said. Nice said. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you for your patience. I'm so embarrassed that I was so late. I truly apologize. And it's been coming up like in other stuff too. I don't want to blame my age or my kids. I don't think that's fair. I'm really, thank you for being so patient. I truly apologize. I do value your time and this opportunity. It was really
It was
fun.
really fun to do. Thank you. And I will learn a lot of your metaphors. And we stay in contact. Have a nice day. And we keep in touch. Till next time.
Yeah, till next time. Till next time. All right, man. Take care. All the best.